It's been a while since I made a Mac tips and tricks video. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 12 Mac related tips, tricks, and features that I reckon most owners have no idea about. Okay, let's get into it. Apple recently added a magnification tool to Markup on the iPhone, allowing you to draw people's attention to specific things in images or PDFs. It's a really useful tool, but it's actually been around on the Mac for a long time. It's just that most people have no idea where to find it. So let me show you. Now, to be clear, this works anywhere that you can use Markup on your Mac. So that's Notes, Mail, Preview, loads of places. I'm going to showcase this in Notes for this example, but once you're in Markup, the process is identical. So open the Notes app and click on the PDF that you want to look at. You'll see a little arrow next to it. Click that and then choose Markup. Once you're in Markup, head up to the toolbar and click on the Shapes tool. It looks like a square with a circle overlapping it. Scroll down the options that appear, and near the bottom, you'll find the Loupe tool. It looks like a magnifying glass. Select that, and a circular magnifier will appear on your PDF. You can drag this over any area that you want to inspect. To adjust the size of the loupe itself, drag the blue handle, and to change the zoom level inside the loupe, use the green handle. It's really handy for those moments when you need to see the minutiae without disrupting your overall view of the document. We've all been in that situation where you're looking at something on your Mac, maybe a photo or a detailed document, and you just wish you could zoom in a little closer, but the app that you're in doesn't have a built-in zoom feature or it's just a bit clunky. It's a really common frustration, and it often means squinting or exporting the image to another app. Thankfully, there is a really easy fix for this built right into macOS, so let me show you. Head into System Settings, then scroll down the sidebar until you see Accessibility and tap into that. From here, you want to choose Zoom. You'll see a few options here, but the one that we're interested in is Use Scroll Gesture with Modifier Keys to Zoom. Tick that box, and you can then choose your preferred modifier key from the drop-down menu. Control is a popular choice, but Command or Option also work. Now, whenever you hold down that chosen key and scroll with your mouse or trackpad, your entire screen will zoom in and out, no matter what app you're using. If you're anything like me, you probably have a set of applications that you open every single morning to get your workday started. Safari, Mail, Messages, maybe a specific work app. Did you know that you can create a single shortcut to open all of them with one mouse click? Let me show you. Head into the Shortcuts app on your Mac. If you don't have the Shortcuts app, head to the App Store and download it. It's free and it's an Apple app. Once you've got it, you'll want to click the little plus icon at the top to create a new shortcut. Now in the search bar on the right, we're looking for Open App, which thankfully is in the Pinned section. We want to drag that action into the new shortcut. In fact, I'm going to do that 3 times so that I've got 3 instances in total. Click on the blue App text in the action and choose the first app that you want to open. Do this for each additional app that you want to include, like I've done here. So you can see I've now got a shortcut created that's going to open these 3 apps. Once you've got them all in there, close the shortcut, then right-click on your new shortcuts in the Shortcuts app and choose Add to Dock. Now, a single click on that icon in your dock will launch your entire workspace in one go. I was chatting to a friend the other day while they were getting some work done on their Mac, and I noticed that their process for taking a screenshot was to press Command, Shift, and 4 to take the screenshot, then to wait while it's sitting there at the bottom of the screen a few seconds until it showed up on their desktop, then drag it into whatever app they were working in, and then have to remember to go back at the end of their session to delete all of the screenshots. They were therefore very grateful when I showed them the following tip instead. When you're ready to take your screenshot, press Command, Shift, and 4. You'll see your cursor change to a crosshair like before. Now click and drag to select the area that you want to capture just like normal, but here's the trick. Before you release the mouse button or the trackpad, press and hold down the Control key on your keyboard. Now you can release the mouse button or the trackpad and then release the Control key. You won't see a thumbnail pop up in the corner this time because that screenshot is now sitting on your clipboard, ready for you to paste it wherever you like with Command and B. Shave seconds off your work time, but even better, there is no need to go back and delete the screenshot later. I've been a Mac power user for the best part of a decade now, and if you're watching this channel, there's a good chance you are too. You're using your Mac for real work. Maybe you're into your 10th hour of a complex video edit, or you're just putting the finishing touches on that presentation that you're delivering to the board tomorrow morning. Whatever it looks like for you, you know the feeling. And in those moments, the last thing that you want is your Mac getting in your way. That's exactly why I use CleanMyMac, who are kindly sponsoring today's video. Because junk builds up quietly. Cache files, broken downloads, duplicate files, apps that you've uninstalled, but they're somehow not completely gone. It all accumulates, and you don't notice it until you do. CleanMyMac takes care of all of that. I run a deep clean every now and then, and it handles the lot. I really like Space Lens because it gives me a proper visual map of my entire drive. You can actually see where your storage is gone, rather than just guessing. And the newer cloud cleanup feature is great too. It connects to iCloud, Google Drive, Dropbox, and finds the big space wasters lurking across all of them. And then there's the assistant, which runs quietly in the background and flags if something's causing strain. So if my Mac is running too hot or the battery is draining faster than it should, it offers practical fixes before it becomes a problem. It's all about staying in the zone and getting the work done. Your Mac should keep up with you, not the other way around. If you want to get tidy today, check out CleanMyMac via the link in the description and try it free for 7 days. And if you decide to stick with it, which I think you will, use my code PROPERTECH for 20% off. If you're anything like me, you probably spend a fair bit of time on your Mac copying text from one place and pasting it into another. And if that's the case, you'll know the pain of pasting text into a note or an email and having it paste with all of the formatting included. Different fonts, sizes, colors, links, all that kind of stuff. Now you could of course right-click and choose paste and match style, but if you're always doing this, it might make sense to set this as your default for Command and Z. Let me show you how you do that. Head into System Settings, then choose Keyboard from the sidebar. Now tap into Keyboard Shortcuts, and then click on App Shortcuts. Press the little plus button to add a new one. Make sure All Applications is selected in the Application dropdown. Alternatively, if you know you only want to use this function in a specific app, choose it from here. In the menu title field, you need to type Paste and Match Style and make sure that you type it exactly as shown on the screen now with the capital letters and the spaces, otherwise this won't work. Then click into the Keyboard Shortcut field and simply press Command and V. Click Done, then Done again to save your changes. Now whenever you use Command and V, your Mac will automatically paste the text without any of that extra formatting. And if you change your mind in the future, you can use the exact same steps to switch this off. You've probably got a few websites that you visit regularly for news or articles, and you probably always find yourself clicking that little reader mode icon to enable reader mode and clear away all the clutter. It's a great feature, but having to activate it every single time can get a bit tedious. So let me show you how you can enable this by default on the websites that you choose. First, head to one of those websites in Safari. Then up in the menu bar, click on Safari and choose Settings. Next, you'll want to tap into the Websites tab. On the left-hand side, scroll down and select Reader. You'll see a list of websites that you've visited, and the one you're currently on should be there. Simply click the drop-down menu next to it and change it from off to on. That's it. Now, every time that you visit that specific site, Safari will automatically load it in reader mode, giving you that clean reading experience without any extra clicks. And if you change your mind, follow the steps to switch this off. There are some really good window management apps for the Mac that you can pay for, but there's also a pretty good option built in for free if all you want is the basic ability to tile 2 apps on your display, for example. It's enabled by default, and the shortcut for doing this is dead simple. Next time that you're moving a window, click and start dragging it as you normally would. Now, while you're still holding down the mouse button, press and hold the Option key on your keyboard. You'll see a clear outline of the window will actually snap into place once you let go, making it really easy to put an app on one side of your screen and a different app on the other. The call record feature on your iPhone is amazing. You can capture a full audio copy of any call that you make or receive, and then because they export to Notes, the end result is visible here in the Notes app on your Mac. From here, you can use Apple Intelligence to summarize the call, but let's be honest, it's not the best or the most accurate. There are loads of third-party tools out there that will do a much better job, and getting the audio file from Notes to those third-party apps is a piece of cake on your Mac. Let me show you. Once you've finished your call and the recording is safely in Notes on your iPhone, head over to your Mac and open the Notes app here. Navigate to your call recordings folder and then open the specific note containing the call that you want to transcribe. You'll see the audio file embedded right there in the note. Simply click and drag that audio file directly onto your desktop or into your Downloads folder. Now you've got a standalone audio file that you can upload to any AI audio transcription service. Control Center on the Mac is actually really good, and as of last year, it is also fully customizable. So you head to Control Center, tap the Edit Controls button, then you can click on the little green plus to add pretty much anything that you like and resize them while you're at it. The problem is, as you can see, especially with these larger tiles, you're going to run out of space pretty quickly. Thankfully, there is a really easy way to add additional Control Center pages. While you're in edit mode, press the little plus button up at the top of the screen next to Control Center. That will give you an entirely new Control Center page. You can choose from any of the available icons for the page, or you can just leave it as the default. From here, it's exactly the same as your previous Control Center page. Just add things directly to the page and resize as you need to. When you're finished, press the Done button at the bottom. But one thing that I find most people have no idea about is how to then move that additional page up at the top of the menu bar, because by default, it will often go quite a long way away from your main Control Center button. In my opinion, it makes sense for it to go next to it. If you want to move it, simply head into either Control Center or the new page and choose Edit Controls. This takes you back into Control Center edit mode, allowing you to drag the Control Center tile at the top of the page to put it wherever you like, including right next to the existing Control Center button. Your Mac has a magnifier tool built into it, just like the one on the iPhone in accessibility, but it relies a lot on having access to a high-quality camera, which in most Mac computers isn't really the case. However, if you have an iPhone and you've enabled continuity camera on your iPhone, you can use the high-quality camera on the rear of your iPhone as a magnifier and view the information on your Mac. Let me show you how. So first of all, on your iPhone, you would need to ensure that you've enabled continuity camera. You would do that by going into Settings, then General, then AirPlay and Continuity, and making sure that continuity camera is enabled. Then, over on your Mac, open up the Magnifier application. I've done it using Spotlight Search in this example. You can see that by default, it's going to use the built-in webcam on this M2 MacBook Air, which isn't particularly good. So I'm going to head up to the menu bar at the top of the screen, tap on Camera, and from the drop-down list, you should see your iPhone listed there. Select it, and now your Mac will be using your iPhone's much more capable camera, giving you far better zoom and image quality, which is really useful if you have one of the Pro iPhone models. We've all been there, haven't we? You need to log into an app on your smart TV, and it asks you for a ridiculously long, complex password that you've saved in your Mac's password app. Trying to squint at the screen and type it out character by character is a recipe for frustration and typos. Thankfully, there is a really easy fix for this. Let me show you. Head into the Passwords app on your Mac, find the password that you need, then simply right-click on it. From the menu that appears, choose Show in Large Type. This will bring up a new window with your password displayed in a much larger color-coded font, making it much easier to read and transcribe accurately on your other device. Capital letters are in one color, lowercase in another, numbers in another, symbols in another. It's a small thing, but it really does make a difference when you're trying to avoid those annoying password incorrect messages. If you're anything like me, you probably found yourself in a situation where you open a document, make a bunch of changes, save it, and then realize that you've overwritten the original file that you actually wanted to keep. It's a real pain, especially if you legitimately don't have a way of getting the unedited original back. Thankfully, there is a really easy fix for this built right into macOS. So let me show you. So here, for example, I've got an invoice document that I want to protect. All I need to do is right-click on the file that I want to protect, then select Get Info from the contextual menu. In the Get Info window that pops up, you'll see a checkbox that says Stationery Pad. Tick that box, and from now on, whenever you open that file, your Mac will automatically create a copy for you to work on. You might not notice it at first, but if I move this one out of the way, you can see it's made a copy and opened it. This means it's left the original perfectly untouched. It's a brilliant way to ensure that you always have a pristine master copy. So there you go. That was 12 Mac tips, tricks, and features that I think most users have no idea about. What about you? Anything here you didn't know? Or anything that you think I should have included but didn't? Drop me a comment and let me know. And as ever, if you found this video useful, do please consider leaving me a like and subscribing to my channel for more content like this in the future. See you on the next video.